Okay, there are 5 steps in this process for building a WhizBang staff. Find them, hire them, train them, coach them, and the last step, if they don't work out, fire them. We're at segment 12 now, and we're going to be talking about what to do if your employees are just plain unwilling to do the job you need them to do in your store. Here's the truth of the matter. If you've shown your employee what to do, trained them on how to do it, had them show you that they can do it, and they simply don't do it, even after repeated coaching, they are unwilling. It's a question of willingness. They are unwilling to be an employee in your store. That's okay. You just need to have them pick a lane. Do things your way or leave. Pick a lane. At this place, that's where you are. You need to get your employees to pick a lane. So the way to do that is by using the progressive disciplinary action process. And it's called progressive because it starts out pretty nice and very simple. It starts out with step number 1, which is what we call a documented discussion. This is just when you and your employee have a quick little chat about whatever the problem might be. For example, they need to show up at work on time. This is a very, very simple behavior that is pretty easy to hold any one of your employees accountable for. They need to show up for work on time. Well, if you've got an employee that doesn't show up for work on time a couple of times in a row, you need to have a documented discussion. Have a conversation with the employee, make sure that they know that they're to show up at work on time, and write the conversation down and put it in their employee file. Documented discussion. Now the next time the employee doesn't come in to work on time, you need to move it up 1 notch and give them a warning. You can either do a verbal warning or a written warning, depending on how severe the infraction is to your standards. So in this case, maybe if they're not showing up to work on time, and they're a couple minutes late, you might give them a verbal warning. If they show up 15, 20, half an hour late, then maybe a written warning is what's most appropriate. You need to make sure that they understand that they are on warning, and if they continue to not adhere to your standards, that they could lose their job. Next time the person comes in late, you need to give them a final warning. One last chance to get their act together, and if they are late the next time, you need to let them know that they're going to be fired. Termination of employment. Here's what I found. Rarely do you ever actually have to get to the last step, termination of employment. You will have made the employee either so comfortable doing what you want them to do or so uncomfortable that they quit. They pick a lane. They either choose to stay with your company or they leave. Every so often, though, you do have to actually fire an employee. And I give you permission right now to go ahead and do that. It is okay. As a matter of fact, it's your responsibility to have a staff full of superstars doing what you want them to do, what you need them to do to give your customers the service they deserve. Now, right now, I know several of you are thinking, I couldn't possibly fire this person because I need them. I don't have anybody else to cover the time in my slot. I have to have that person, even though they're driving me crazy. Well, listen, this brings us right back around to step number 1, find them. If you've already got a file full of hot prospects and you're always looking for great people, you're always recruiting, and you've got a red-hot help wanted ad in your back pocket ready to go that you know you can put in the newspaper or post on the internet and have tens, maybe even hundreds of great candidates for your job in your door within a week, you will not have this problem anymore. Don't let them hold you hostage. You cannot let bad employees hold you hostage, keep you from moving on, going for termination of employment, creating the best possible staff that you can possibly have in your store, giving your customers the service they deserve when they walk in your front door. Just do it. Go ahead and start the disciplinary action process on those employees that need it. There's a couple of things that generally hold people back. One thing we call familyosity. Familyosity. You feel like these people are part of your family. In that case, the only thing I can say to you is get over it. It's your business. It's not your family. It's your business. You need to have a great staff filled with superstars. One other thing that generally keeps people from doing the disciplinary action process, going for the termination of employment when it's necessary, is what I call terminal niceness. You just don't want them to think that you're a mean person. You don't want to be perceived as a mean person. Well, let me tell you that going ahead, moving through this process, and terminating the employees that don't work for your store is an absolute necessity. As a matter of fact, what you'll find is that the morale in the rest of your staff will go way up. You have to hold your employees accountable for the standards that you've set. If you hold most of the employees accountable for the standards and let one slide, morale drops like a stone. Let me tell you a quick story about something that happened to me one time. I had an employee who violated one of our non-negotiable standards, and quick as that, I fired this person. And my husband Bob, who was working in the store with me, thought that for sure we'd have mass mutiny on our hands, that all the rest of the employees would really be up in arms. But you know what really happened? They were all delighted because they felt like this person was getting away with something that they couldn't get away with. So morale went up, sales went up, and we were a lot happier group because of it. So, progressive disciplinary action process in a nutshell: documented discussion, warning, final warning, termination of employment. You have to get them to pick a lane. Come back into compliance with your set standards or go someplace else. Just do it.